Hi, in this one I will cover how to create bar charts and histogram in ggplot. First, I will show you the fundamental difference between a histogram and a bar chart. Though both of them look the same, the data on which they are created is very different. We will first understand the difference and then look at three different ways of creating histogram, followed by creating bar charts using geo_bar. So by the end of this video, you would have created plots that look like this. Let's go to the R code. So the difference between a histogram and a bar chart is this. The difference is a histogram is created on a continuous variable, whereas a bar chart is created on a categorical variable. So what a histogram does is, given a continuous variable, it transforms that continuous variable into a categorical variable by creating bins out of it. It will count how many records are present in each of those bins and make a plot out of those counts. So that's what histogram does. Whereas for a bar chart, the counts are typically given as an input. So first we will see how to create histogram based on using the geom bar function based on another categorical variable. You could argue that it is still a bar chart only because we are not explicitly forming the bins from the continuous variable itself. Let's see that in detail. So in this video, we will be using the MPG dataset. It is available in ggplot2 package and the dataset looks something like this. It contains the mileage, that is the city mileage, highway mileage, the class of the car and the transmission it contains for various different car models from different manufacturers. Now I am setting the theme to theme BW by default. All the plots that I make from this will follow this theme. Alright. Now I have the MPG dataset and I want to create a chart that shows the count of each unique manufacturer present in this manufacturer column. So first what you need to do is initialize the ggplot. It is initialized with MPG dataset and x equal to manufacturer. Now add geom bar layer and provide the title for the plot. That results in a plot that looks like this, which shows the number of rows for each of the unique manufacturers present in the manufacturer column. You can adjust the width of these bars by setting the width parameter in geom bar. Now you have these bars having one single color. Now suppose if you want to see within Audi how many different subsegments or different segments of cars Audi produces. If you want to know how many different segments of cars Audi produces, you can break this bar down based on the segments where each segment has different color. To do that, specify the fill argument inside AES. AES stands for aesthetics. So since class is a column that is present within the data set, since class is a column that is present within the MPG dataset, you need to use AES to let ggplot know that you are referring to the class column. Now the bars are colored according to the class column. Now if you want to place the colors side by side instead of stacking one on top of the other, you can set position equal to dots. By doing that, instead of stacking one on top of the other, these bars will be side by side like this. There are special palettes that come with the R Color Brewer package. You can use a different palette, a nice looking one for that matter. These are the different palettes and these are the different palette names. Now I'm going to use the palette set 3. To do that, use an additional layer called Scale Fill Brewer. Why fill? The fill in this particular function, Scale Fill Brewer, comes from the fill argument in AES. Because since we used the fill argument to fill the various colors in the bars, you need to use this scale fill brewer function to change the palette of those colors. Let's set it to spectral. Here's an inference about this chart. Only Chevrolet manufactures two-seaters. Two-seater is the color in red and that red is present only in Chevrolet. So that's quite evident. While Jeep, Land Rover, Lincoln and Mercury makes only SUVs. SUV is the blue color, and these four car models makes only SUVs. Toyota seems to have the largest mix with four classes of cars. To make such observations, you need to study the graphs closely and come up with your own inferences. Can you try to make one more inference about this chart? Let's move to the next one. If you use position equal to fill instead of dodge, we used dodge so that these colors were placed side by side. But if you set it as fill, then the entire height of the column will be filled up to 100%. Now the y-axis contains proportions rather than plain counts. Now in this chart, the x-axis is a categorical variable, that is the manufacturer. If you replace it with a continuous variable, if you replace it with a numeric variable where you have discrete values of numbers, it will still work. Let's see an example of that. Instead of manufacturer, I am passing the city mileage into the AES argument. Now this graph shows the number of rows for each unique value of CTY column, that is city mileage column. Now let's see how to create a real histogram. Clearing the screen. The reason I say a real histogram is because you can adjust the bin width and the bin size as well. Now instead of using geom bar, I'm using the same initialized G object, that is initialized based on CTY column, and adding the geom histogram on top of it. In this case, the bin width equals to 1. You can increase the bin width as well. Now each bar is more wider. It has a width of 5 units for each bar. If you want to define your bars based on the number of bins, you can do that as well. Now in this one, there are 100 bins, but only certain bins has values present. That's why it comes like this. So these two are basically the parameters that you should be able to control when creating a histogram. That is bin width and the number of bins.